Rain poured relentlessly outside the vast estate, where an elite gala hummed with chatter and the clink of champagne flutes. Within, the atmosphere was heavy with pride and veiled scorn. Abruptly, the ornate doors burst open. A woman in a drenched white gown stepped inside, shivering yet resolute. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Who let her in? She looks like a maid. Sophia, the events coordinator, glided through the throng, her gaze dripping with contempt. This is an exclusive affair. If you're here to serve, the kitchen's that way. Before the woman could respond, burly security guards grabbed her arms. You're disrupting our evening, they growled. Let me go, she retorted, her voice breaking with pain and rage. None of them knew her true identity. She was the mansion's rightful owner. How far would they go to bury the truth? Watch the full story. Subscribe to Real Life Stories, now streaming. Don't miss what unfolds next. The guard's hold tightened as Isabella's heels skidded across the polished marble. Each step reverberated in the grand hall. Laughter faded into uneasy quiet. Rainwater streamed from her hair, pooling behind her as the party's warm glow reflected off her soaked dress. Sophia, clutching her clipboard, smirked with smug triumph. Thunder rumbled outside. Isabella's heart seared, not from the chill but from the shame twisting within her. The doors crashed shut behind her, the sound as sharp as a whip. She stumbled, her knees striking the wet marble at the top of the steps. For a moment, Isabella remained there, rain cascading down her face, her breath shallow. The guards, pleased with their work, retreated, muttering, "Some folks don't know their place." Inside, the festivities roared back to life, the guests' cruelty fueling their mirth. Yet a subtle tension lingered. A few attendees glanced out the windows, intrigued by the woman banished into the tempest. Isabella pressed her palms against the steps and rose. Her jaw clenched, her dignity bruised but intact. From the shadows near the shrubs, a solitary figure observed. Diego, her loyal assistant, stood beneath an umbrella. He met Isabella's gaze, nodded subtly, and slipped into the darkness. Their plan was already in motion. Secrets murmured in the shadows in the kitchen. Two chefs whispered nervously. That had to be Mrs. Isabella. No chance. She'd never show up like that. Then you don't know her story. Their voices trembled with unease. No one wanted to be caught on the wrong side of this. Out front, Isabella stood tall despite the downpour. The rain cleansed her face, but the sting of those mocking stares lingered like a blade. She recalled every betrayal, every bystander who looked away. Inside, Sophia raised her glass triumphantly. "Let this remind us," she declared loudly, "security must keep out those who don't belong." The crowd laughed, turning Isabella's absence into a punchline. Her suffering was invisible to them. But a chill swept through the room. Emma, a young guest in a lilac gown, paused by the window. She watched Isabella vanish into the night, a pang of guilt gnawing at her. "Is she all right?" Emma asked softly. Sophia scoffed. "She's fortunate we didn't involve the authorities. Forget her." But Emma's eyes remained fixed on the storm, haunted by the woman's face. Isabella reached her car at the estate's edge. She kicked off her sodden shoes and sank into the driver's seat, her hands gripping the wheel until her knuckles whitened. Every moment replayed in her mind: Sophia's sneer, the guard's rough grip, the guests' laughter. Not one had recognized her. Not a single friend, not one loyal staff member, not even the employees she'd paid for years. Her phone vibrated. A text from Diego. All cameras rolling, everything captured. Proceed? Isabella stared at the distant mansion, its lights glowing through the rain. Her fury hardened into determination. Yes. Send it to every employee and shareholder. The truth spreads like wildfire, don't hold back. By morning, emails flooded inboxes citywide. Subject: the truth of last night. Watch it. The footage was undeniable. Isabella cast out, mocked, dismissed. Her humiliation laid bare. No one could twist or deny it. As the news spread, Sophia's event firm was besieged with calls. Terminate our contract. We won't condone this. Sophia watched her career crumble, her inbox overflowing with complaints, her social media drowned in outrage. One sponsor withdrew with a curt note: We don't endorse discrimination. At the mansion, Isabella paced the silent halls, her steps echoing. She passed portraits of her late mother, who had built this empire from nothing and taught her to prize integrity over riches. Now Isabella's legacy hinged on her next move. She met Diego in the study, documents strewn across the desk. Contracts, guest lists, invitations. I want every attendee's name, Isabella said softly. Everyone who stood by and watched. I need to know who they are. Diego nodded, admiration in his gaze. And Sophia? Isabella's voice turned icy. She'll face the consequences she earned. As Sophia's world collapses, the fallout grew. Some guests attempted apologies. Emma sent a message, I'm so sorry. I sensed something was wrong. I should have acted. Isabella didn't respond. Words were meaningless now. A local paper ran a headline, humiliated in her own home, the mansion scandal unveiled. Public fury erupted. Support poured in for Isabella, strangers called her courageous, poised. Messages arrived globally, you showed us what counts. Thank you for standing firm. Meanwhile, Sophia's life unraveled. She reached her office to find the locks changed, her team in chaos, her name barred from every major event firm in the city. An emergency board meeting ended with her termination, her hubris finally exposed. Isabella summoned her lawyers. I want a formal notice sent to every company at the gala. No further dealings with anyone complicit in last night's disgrace. Simultaneously, she invited all guests back to the mansion. The email was brief, mandatory meeting. The owner demands your attendance. Be there. On the day the guests arrived, heads bowed, the air thick with silence. Isabella stood at the hall's front, no longer the woman in the rain but the estate's true master, composed, authoritative, every eye on her. She let the quiet linger, then spoke. Last night you revealed yourselves. Some laughed, some ignored me. Some forced me out of my own home. None of you saw me for who I am. You saw only what you chose, a nobody beneath you. Sophia stood, her voice quivering. I'm sorry, Isabella. Truly. Isabella's gaze didn't waver. Apologies don't erase the truth. You judged, you ridiculed, you tried to erase me. That comes at a cost. One by one, guests offered excuses. I thought it was a joke. I just followed the crowd. Isabella silenced them. Excuses are worthless now. I expected decency. I found only arrogance. She handed Diego a stack of contracts. Effective immediately, all business with each of you is severed. My companies will never partner with those who choose cruelty over kindness. The room went still. Sophia collapsed into sobs, speechless. Others left in disgrace. Isabella didn't look back. As the last guest departed, she turned to Diego, relief and sorrow in her eyes. This house will never feel the same, she murmured. A week later, Isabella addressed a packed university auditorium. They dragged me through the rain because my dress didn't look grand enough, because I didn't seem powerful. But I learned respect is earned, not purchased. Never let anyone say your value lies in your appearance. Stand firm even alone. The audience roared with applause. Isabella smiled at peace. Sophia's name vanished from the city's social scene. Her former allies disappeared. Her arrogance cost her everything. As time passed, Isabella's story became a lasting lesson. But another storm loomed on the horizon, and Isabella, now unbreakable, was prepared for whatever came next. The city moved forward, but for Isabella, nothing felt quite the same. Her home was still, the echoes of that night's laughter replaced by the soft patter of rain on tall windows. Yet something within her had transformed, something unyielding. She wandered the halls, pausing before her mother's portraits, recalling lessons of dignity and self-worth. Days passed. The scandal faded from headlines, but Isabella's name endured, not as a victim but as the woman who held her ground. In mirrors, she no longer saw pain or shame, but the quiet pride of someone who refused to be defined by others. One afternoon, Isabella visited the kitchen, where staff greeted her with genuine warmth. No one averted their gaze. A chef smiled softly and said, "Thank you for showing us what truly matters." Isabella clasped her hand, her eyes bright with gratitude. Outside, flowers bloomed along the path where she'd once knelt in the rain. Isabella stepped out, breathing deeply. For the first time in ages she felt truly at home. The world hadn't softened overnight, but she had grown stronger, and that, she realized, was enough. As sunlight pierced the clouds, Isabella glanced back at her mansion. Her legacy, her victory, every trial, every wound had forged her into someone who could confront injustice with courage, who could teach others that true strength comes from within. If this story stirred you or reminded you of the resilience within us all, please like, share, and subscribe to Real Life Stories, now streaming. Every view, every subscription helps us share more tales that spark hope and remind us, no matter how dark the storm, the truth will always rise to the light.